realized is sessions like these can really bring us in touch with coaches who are experts at a field, and we didn't really think that we needed it. Like, being a sports enthusiast, we just thought that going out and playing 2 days a week is good enough. We didn't some of us did, but some of us didn't really worry too much about our body, what we are eating, how we are feeling. Right? So hopefully the sessions like these will enlighten us and help us understand the sport better and ourselves better. So a few house rules. Please stay on mute. So I'll be moderating the session. If any of you all have any questions, you can drop in your question in the comments section, the chat section. I will pick up questions. We'll try to answer every question that's been answered relevant to the topic. And Chelston, you can feel free to answer the question at your will. And also, please turn off your videos so that there's lesser bandwidth being used between the two of us, and everyone else can check out the session together. All right, so we've waited enough. We will start off now. Sunday evening. The weather's been great. I wish I was outside playing right now, and I know you guys must be feeling the same. So thank you so much for taking the time out and being here on a Sunday evening, and attending a session like this. So we have Chelston Pinto with us. He is the head and the co-founder of Rapid Sports Fitness. This is an epic gym in Kormangla. They are a 3-storied fitness center. They have a gym. They have a functional fitness center. They have a rehab and physio center. And the coolest thing of all, they have an MMA section too, right? So pretty much everything's packed in it. And now Chelston is, football's been a big part of his life. He's been a professional footballer. He's also the strength and conditioning coach at FC Bangalore United. And they've been doing great work with many badminton and swimming academies too. And here are a few things that he's done and why we should be listening to him, right? He has the certification, level 2 certification of Australia Strength and Conditioning. He has a Nesta personal training certification. He's also Asian Football Confederation A licensed fitness instructor. So a few of these things, Chelston, to be honest, went over my head. So maybe you can explain what these certificates mean and why we should be listening to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Leo and Danish, for having me here. And thank you, everyone who joined in for today's session. It's good to see so many football enthusiasts who, think fitness is a big part of football. And I'll be glad to, answer any of your questions. I hope I can clear some doubts, and hope this session is going to be useful for you all. So just to introduce myself, like Danish said, I am a strength and conditioning coach, and I've been a footballer all throughout. I started off playing when I was really young. I came up through the ranks. I played for Karnataka state teams at the junior levels. I played for my schools, colleges, and I went on to play the Super Division in Bangalore first, and last season I played the second division I League, and hopefully this season we'd be in the I League. So I'm a part of a young club. It's called FC Bangalore United. You can check us out. You can check out FC Bangalore United on Instagram as well. It's one of the upcoming clubs in Bangalore, and we hope to do good work for the next season. Apart from that, I'm also a strength and conditioning coach. So during the off seasons, I used to study or get my coaching licenses, and I was very interested in training people. So my journey started in 2014. When I was a part of a gym, and I was just training regular folks who came in to lose weight, and that's when I realized that okay, this is something that I can choose, or I would like to do if football doesn't work out, or side to side while playing football. If I can do it, that would be even greater. So that's when I started getting my coaching certifications. I started off first with a CrossFit certification, which I'd gotten very early in my coaching career. Post that, I got in Nesta personal training certification. So the personal training certifications is basically for if you want to train one-on-one, and if you want to make a career out of helping regular folks one-on-one. um, 1.5 year after I, trained at the gym, I realized that, I want to help athletes and I want to coach athletes, because that's where my passion is. It's sports. And then that's when I thought, okay, I need to update myself or upgrade myself, and really get something that, can brighten up my career in the future. So that's when I took a call of, training outdoors. So I think in Bangalore, we were one of the first ones to open, just training outdoors for regular folks. So people who would like sports but weren't professionals to play in a professional team. I would call them up to a five-a-side ground. Many of them are registered with Pleo as of today. And we would train them. We would train them in speed and agility and reaction and balance. We try and add in as many games as possible and bring in that team environment that we guys love who are in sports. So through that, I realized that, okay, I want to take it pro, and I want to coach at the level that I'm playing at and even higher. And that's when I got my Australian strength and conditioning certification done. I did my level 1 2.5 years ago, and just recently, about 8 months ago, I passed my level 2. I've also published a research on fitness for football and fitness for horse riding. Um, so yeah, that's how I got my level 2 certification from the Australian Strength and Conditioning Association. And yeah, here I am. As of today, I am the fitness coach of FC Bengaluru United. I play for them as well. I'm a centre back. I'm also the head coach at Rohan Bopana's Tennis Academy. And yeah, we also have a lot of other associations as part of RSF. RSF is Rapid Sport Fitness. It's a gym that I started in Koramangala. And yeah, as Dan has said, we have a wide variety of programs that we run. And yeah, so I'm happy to really bring in that fitness revolution, something that I thrive on, and something that has got me up back on my feet, and something that keeps me going every day. So yeah, that's a little about me. And as I said, I'm happy to be here. And today the topic is fitness for football. So I think we can get into it, Danish.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So clearly you see both sides of things, right? The professional side of fitness, the amateur, sports enthusiast
Yes.
side of fitness. How different are these? And does an amateur sports enthusiast, like let's say I play twice a week, right? Do I really need to focus on fitness? Is it that important? Isn't me playing being fit? Should I do something more?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Danish. So, see, for an amateur footballer or a recreational footballer, I think football itself is a recreational activity. So it is fitness at the end of the day. But as you know, today we have so many turf grounds in and around India, and it's because of these turf grounds that there are a lot more injuries that are happening. And why are these injuries happening? It's happening because of imbalances in the body. And the only way to correct that is by actually exercising. So whether it's strength training, whether it's movement patterns, or whether it's activating your muscles, or whether it's trying to increase your flexibility or mobility. So yes, fitness is definitely important. Yes, I get it. For regular folks, it's not very easy because everyone has a job, they go to school, colleges. But you will have to find a way wherein, okay, if you're playing twice a week, maybe twice a week you can train at home or go to a gym close by. And I would say, in terms of an injury, the best way to avoid it is by warming up. And that warm up could be anything between 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the time you have and your own body. So but yes, fitness is very important, because at the end of the day, if you're playing twice a week, you want to play twice a week as much as possible through the year, right? You don't want to be bogged down by an injury that happens, say, after 2 months or after 3 months, then you take a 2 month off, and it happens very, very regularly. So if you can exercise in a way that your body can prepare you better to play football, that would be an ideal situation.
And how do the professionals look at it? You know,
Yes. That's so I'll tell you how we work in a professional setup. I'll tell you how it works here in India, and I'll give you an insight of what happens in some of the other bigger Asian countries as well. So I work with the AFC, and I've spoken to a lot of coaches back in, say, in bigger teams in Asia, and they have obviously a different way of working because their stakes are higher, and their league system itself is, a lot. Is defined by, say, 8 or 9 months. Here in India, we play football for about 6 months. So starting off, for a competitive footballer, or professional footballer, you have 4 seasons. All right. We divide the season into four bits, I can say. So the first thing is preseason. So preseason is a period where, for 4 to 6 weeks or sometimes 8 weeks, the team get together and they train for the particular competition. So here in India, we have ISL as the top competition. So the teams usually bring in the players 4 to 6 weeks earlier, sometime 8 weeks, and that's where all the fitness happens. So there's lots and lots of fitness. So me as a fitness coach, that would be the time where I am really at the helm of things, and we need to get the team, or every player, physically prepared to play the entire season. So that's the most crucial phase of the season, I would say, from a physical aspect. First what we do is we do like an assessment. This assessment will be a body assessment. We see their past stats, where have they got injured, where can we make sure that they don't get injured in the future, what kind of strength training they need to do, what kind of endurance training they need to do, what kind of speed training they need to do, how much of recovery is needed. So me as a strength and conditioning coach would note down these points, and within the first 2 or 3 weeks, I will have an idea of the entire squad, who recovers well, who's doing well, who's not doing well, how much extra a person needs to do. So we collect all that stats, which help us during the season, because there are players who can play probably only one match a week. There are players who can play 3 matches a week. So I need to give these kind of inputs to the head coach, so the head coach knows that, okay, this is the team that I have, and these are the regular starters, and this is how we can manage them. So it's a lot to do with load management. So a lot of strength training and endurance training goes through that period of during the preseason. Obviously, a lot of tactical work as well. So the coach would obviously introduce whatever form of football he wants to play throughout the season. And then once we get into the season, just before the season, we try and play as many practice games as possible, because only when you play practice games, you're actually going to be putting, whatever you've learned into practice. So you will be able to test your fitness, you'll be able to test the tactical side of things, and that's where everything meets. So it also gives us, the coaching staff, an idea as to who our starting 11 will be. And then we start off the season. During the season, we just move from strength to strength. So ideally, we want to get everyone 100% before the season starts. From there on, we try and keep that fitness rate really high. We try and do more explosive stuff, but in a short period of time. So say in preseason, if we were training 3 hours a day, or sometimes 4 hours a day, or sometimes 2 sessions, during the season, we'll train about 60 minutes to 90 minutes at the most, but we'll make sure that those sessions are really explosive. The intensity is as high as preseason, but the volume is really low. So in that way, the players get a lot of time to recover, which is important for them to play matches. And post matches, obviously, we take care of their requirement in terms of recovery based on how they were recovering at preseason. um, so that's what we do throughout the season, as the competition phase goes on. And after the season, then you have you have, so usually we have a break. It's called the winter break. All around the world, I'm sure everybody here watches the Premier League, or the Spanish league, and there's usually a winter break that happens when the transfer window is open. So during this winter break, that's when we try and offload the players. We try and treat the players who were injured, who got niggles, and then just 1 week before competition, we try and load them up again. So we try and push a lot of weights. We try and increase the endurance again, and then push them on to play matches again. So the last phase is when the competitions get over. That's called the off season. This is when obviously the players enjoy the most. They're back to doing things that they couldn't do through the year. The
Eating
players need to
snacks.
offload as well. Yeah, a lot of cheat meals, a party here and there, and we just give them time off. Obviously, some players who took hits and niggles, some of them who need injury management. We put them through to the medical staff, and so they get treated during this period of time. The rest of them offload, just obviously, as a professional, you cannot go off the radar, completely, but everybody needs time off. Everyone needs time off to travel, or to, for their cheat meals, to have fun, and then they get ready for preseason. So obviously, before the players come in for a preseason, they themselves will be training, and to get themselves up to a certain fitness level, and then they come into the team where we take care of the rest.
Right, right, right.
So that's a gist of what we do at professional football, and that's how all the players across the world usually take care of their fitness. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Uh, you know, let's address the lockdown, right? The
Yeah.
lockdown's been hard on all of us, cooped up in a room, less space. We literally couldn't go out of our houses. So,
True.
how do I ease myself onto the field, right? We have some people here, Chelston. We have people here
Yeah.
not only from Bangalore but across India. So there are
Nice.
few
Okay.
places where the venues aren't open yet, right? So
Okay.
maybe you
Okay.
can tell us what you can do at home or what you've been doing at home, and also
Okay.
how do I ease myself onto the field.
Okay. See, it's an unfortunate place that we are in right now. As in, the lockdown's really been extended for a while, and it's an uncertain future for all of us. So, firstly, I think obviously staying safe is the most important thing for everybody. In terms of keeping yourself fit, again, it would depend on what every individual year really likes. Obviously, everyone's here because they like football. I can see the ratings. Everyone's at 8, 10, 9, 11. So just like me, everyone's waiting to get onto the field and play. But if not football, what is the second thing that you like? So you'll have to obviously you will only want to do what you like. So say for example, if it's something that you want to sweat out, you take a small space in your house and try and do some speed and agility drills. Try and a quick football movement itself. So if say you're sprinting, you're decelerating, you're backpedaling, you're shuffling, you do the side steps, you take the ball, play against the wall. So it's just for you to keep the heart rate going at a higher pace, as well as keeping some sort of fitness, so that post lockdown you're not jumping into the ring unprepared. So again, as I said, it's important to condition your body to be able to play for a long period of time, and that's something that you need to take care of at home. So I can give you another example, as in footballers themselves today are at home, or they're locked up because of the current situation all around the world. But as you could see, I mean, the Bundesliga has started now, and the Premier League is scheduled to start soon as well. So what are these players doing to keep themselves fit? So everyone's at home, everyone's doing either some sort of circuit training, some kind of movement training, taking care of their fitness, all in a small place. I'm sure that's something that I think everyone can do. And also there's plenty of things online today. It's all over the place. It's just for you to choose what do you think is going to help you ease into that football game of yours once the lockdown is done. So you choose that form of fitness, enjoy it, and just go and keep yourselves fit.
Chilson, so you spoke of a few drills back there.
Yeah.
Would you mind demoing them a few for us?
Yeah, sure. All right. So see, in terms of football movement itself, I can give you like a few tips as to what you can do at home. Um, you can also do this as part of your warm up. You can do this as part of your training as itself. So these are movements that you use in football for every position. Obviously, apart from goalkeepers, goalkeepers have completely different movements. But in any other position, if you're playing, these are movements that you would generally use. So I can demo a few. So let's start from the very, very basic. Okay. Just to give you a gist, football is an anaerobic sport. So what is an anaerobic sport? It's something where there's big burst of energy, and then you get some time to take a break, take rest, and then again big burst of energy. Now I know most of you over here would be playing the 5-a-side or 6-a-side or 7-a-sides, rather than 11-a-side. So it's completely different ball game. That's more like the futsal format of football. Now, futsal format of football or the five sides is more of a rapid pace. It's like basketball, wherein you're just running continuously for a duration of time, and that can be pretty fatiguing. And most of the injuries that happen to footballers is when you're fatigued, right? So it's for you to improve the endurance level, but also be able to move in a way that your body's supposed to move anatomically, and reduce the chance of injury. So the first thing is an acceleration, so that's your start, and your deceleration. So deceleration is for you to stop, right? Football is a start stop game. You can't keep running 100 meters. It's like 5 meters, decelerate, cut in, cut out. So those are the kind of movements that you want to do. So I'm just going to show you quickly acceleration followed by deceleration. All right. So, okay. All right. Say, for example, you're going to start from here. Okay. So this is your first, you're just standing there. Now, if I want to move forward, the first thing I do is split, and then I accelerate, and then I decelerate. All right. So those quick steps that I take to decelerate, those are very important. Why? I'm going to show you. All right. So now again, this is my starting position. I want to go forward. So first thing when I want to move forward is I split, right? And then I move forward. So I'm here, I split, I move forward, I decelerate. I want to move towards one side. The deceleration plays an important role. Why? Because you cannot run at one pace and cut, right? That's when your ankle is going to twist. That's when your knees are going to cave in, and the very common ACLs and MCLs tears can happen. So the acceleration and deceleration, two very important phases of football. I can show you that again. So the acceleration always starts with a split. So say even if I'm facing this side and I want to run towards you, from here I split, I'm going, and then I decelerate. From this deceleration phase, I can move towards my right, I can move towards my left, I can go forward again, and I can step back and go again, right? So I think one important position for you to stay in while you're playing futsal is in a quarter squat position. You want to keep your knees nice and soft. If you're going to stand here, all right, every time you need to split and then go, all right? So from here, you need to split and then go. But if you're in this position, if the ball comes to you, you can pick it up, play it back, you can receive it, play it forward, right? You can move left, you can move right. So just like badminton, this is the position you want to be in the football field at most times, especially if you're playing five-a-side, right? So soft knees, you can move in, move out. It's really easy for you to maneuver.
Right.
Well, the second important movement I would say is a side shuffle. So, all right. So again, soft knees, side shuffle is this because there's a lot of movement. As a defender, you're tracking them, you're tracking the attacker, right? So a lot of side shuffles. The third one is the back pedal. So you want to back pedal, say someone's coming in, all right? So backpedaling is really important. And then we have some more complex movements like the step overs. I'm going to show you that. There's a lateral step over, and there's a step over that you go at the back. So I'll show you the lateral step over first. Yeah. Okay. So this is where I am. Okay. Now the ball's coming to me. A fast pass cross court is coming to me towards you guys. So I'm going to run towards you guys. Okay. So if I'm going to move this way, the normal lateral shuffle, it's going to take me way too much time, right? Now, if I'm going to turn my body towards this way and run like a normal sprint, what will happen is when I receive the ball, I have to turn, right? But I already know if I'm receiving the ball from this side, I want to score that side. What I'll do is lateral shuffle there, decelerate, receive the ball, and play it forward again. So that's called the lateral sprint, wherein you step over, but you're looking forward, right? That is a faster movement for you to go instead of doing a lateral shuffle. And the last one is a back sprint. All right. So again, as I said, it's difficult for you to do reverse pedaling back with pace. This is it. You will not be able to go too fast. So if I'm watching the ball, all right, coming in from that goal, say there's a goal on the side, all right, I'm a defender. There's a long ball being played, say a high ball, all right, and I can't make it like this, all right. It's going to take me too much time. I'm going to miss the ball. If I turn and I sprint, Now I'm looking towards my goal, right? I'm not looking at the ball. So that's another problem. So what do? I do a back sprint. So this is how a back sprint goes. Again, it's a crossover. So from here, you're crossing over just there, and then you can hit the ball, right? So I'll show you that again. A crossover there. All right, then you can hit the ball outside, you can hit it back to your team. So the important thing is to always position your body close to where the ball is, or in line with the ball. Make it easy for you to control the ball.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was great. Thanks, Chelston. Uh, so clearly, you've got to change direction, move a lot, right? So
Yeah.
endurance plays a big role in how you play the game, right? So how do you
Right.
train for endurance? What this specifically the drills that you showed
Yeah.
is very situational based, and it's all about shorter sprints. But how do you
Right.
last the game?
Okay, so that's a good question again. Now, say for example, just taking you guys into consideration, most of you playing five-a-sides or a seven-a-side or on smaller fields,
Mhm.
uh, what is endurance? Endurance is something where what is endurance in football? I must say, endurance in football is something where you can last the duration of the match. So say 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 90 minutes. I know some of you book grounds for 2 hours, so it's for you to last that 120 minutes, right? Now it is inhuman to you know um, to be able to really produce the same bouts of energy for 120 minutes, right? That's not possible. But what is possible is to last that 120 minutes, and also one is not get injured, and second is to be able to control the ball, be able to move, obviously not with the same intensity, but you can definitely be able to still produce enough force for you to play. So endurance in football is not a 10-kilometer run. Endurance in football is not a long run. Why? Because a 10-kilometer run, a 15-kilometer run, a marathon, it takes a different energy system out from your body, right?
Right.
Football, as I said, is a lot of sprints. Now, as you just saw, um, for me to move right, for me to move left, it's all instant burst of energy, right? So this energy system requires you to sprint. So how do you get endurance is for you to do high intensity work. Another example I can give you is during this quarantine period, a lot of the professional footballers itself are working on high intensity circuit training, whether it's like quick burpees, lateral jumps, explosive stuff. Say for example, they'll train for 20 seconds, take a break for 10 seconds, and that's what you do in football, right?
Mm.
You're moving for 20 seconds, you get a 10-second break, again move for 20 seconds, right? Depending on your position, you're going to be just moving. And say in some positions, say if you're a center back, I'm a center back, I will not be covering as much ground as my right back or as my winger, but I will be heading the ball a lot more. So I'll be jumping twice as much as my right back and my right winger,
Right.
right? So just being able to train as per your position is very important. That's why professional footballers cannot change their positions too often. Yes, a left winger and right winger can swap, but a center back cannot play your, as a center forward, right?
Right.
So that's one of the situations. But again, coming back to what you can do for endurance training, high burst of energy, short breaks, recover as fast as possible. Again, high burst of energy, short breaks, recover as fast as possible. So you start with say 15-minute circuits, you can move on to 20, 30, all the way to 45, and then you can stop at 60. After you reach say 45 to 60, try and increase the intensity of the workouts. So don't increase the duration, because if you're working out more than 60 minutes in terms of circuit training, again that will lead to injury. When you're fatigued, that's when your body is prone to injury, and you should ensure that that doesn't happen in any situation.
Right. 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 Awesome. So basically, mimicking what's happening on the field, mimicking the heart
Yes,
rate, bring it onto your training.
exactly. Yeah.
Uh, so football's okay. One's speed, one's endurance, right? Then there's
Yes.
also understanding the game. We let's not get into that, but there's also
Yeah.
the ability to jump high, right?
Correct.
We saw Ronaldo's jump when
Yeah.
the header that he got recently, right? So
Yeah.
he's
True.
literally almost 3 4 feet off the ground, right? So
Yeah.
how do I increase my height, and how do I prevent injuries when I'm landing, right? Because
Yeah,
especially in a situation where I'm running, I'm jumping, I don't know where I'm landing because I've got injured where my knees are buckled in. So
true.
how do I train myself, and can I mimic it, when I'm in a safer condition, in a controlled condition? And
Yeah,
if you could show us some.
I think this is Danish. This is probably the most important question. When it comes to training for footballers at all levels. Most of the injuries happen in football when a player's landing. So that's when he's landing from a jump. You would have seen it in professional football. You would have seen it, in recreational footballs in a lot of these five-a-side grounds and seven-a-side grounds. When people are playing. So the most important thing I think to train is your landing mechanics. That's when most injuries can happen. Second is when you're cutting in, cutting out. So just like I showed you, because people don't decelerate, they don't have enough strength in their muscles to decelerate. That's why again, there's overcompensation from one muscle to another, and that's what leads to injury. So um, just in terms of how do you train for say plyometrics or jumping. There's two phases. One is how do you jump higher. That's Let me just give you an insight about strength training. All right, so strength training is your answer to all these questions. Strength training is your foundation to be a footballer for the long run. You see a lot of professional footballers as well. If you take Brazilians into consideration, super talented, they're skillful. They can do skills with their eyes closed. They can do skills, when they're sleeping. They're that good. They're born with the ball. They're born with that touch. But not everyone's born physically really, really strong, right? But if you take into consideration some of the African players, they are robust. Most of them are really, really strong. Some of them don't really need to lift too much of weight because they're genetically so strong that there's no point really spending too much time in the gym. A lot of say even the English players, a lot of the English players are also generally really, really strong. So there are two phases in the strength training. One is a concentric phase. So the concentric phase helps you to jump higher. The concentric phase helps you to sprint faster. All right, concentric is equal to power. Right. So what is concentric phase of strength training? Say for example, now when you're doing a bicep curl, right? So now when you flex your muscle, all right, when you're flexing your muscle, that's the concentric phase, right? Now when you release your muscle, that's the eccentric phase. So those are the two phases that you have when you're strength training. Obviously there's one phase where it's called the isometric hold. So say for example, I'm holding a dumbbell. So say for example, okay, let me just show you with my bottle. All right, so now that's my hand straightened, right? I'm flexing it. That's the concentric phase. I hold it here. Okay, this is the sticking point where there's maximum contraction. That's an isometric hold. Okay, and this phase where I'm releasing it down, it's called the eccentric phase. Right now, all three phases are very, very important in football or in any sport. Right, concentric phase, as I said, it allows you to generate power. Right, so say for example, if I'm squatting, all right, so when I'm squatting, right, so when I'm going down into a squat, all right, that's the eccentric phase, right? This phase when I'm bicep curling. Now concentric phase is there when I'm going up. So you know why you produce a lot of force or a lot of height when you're jumping? It's because this phase is strong, right? So just mimicking those kind of exercises. So from the deadlift to your reverse lunges to your forward lunges to single leg lunges. If your concentric phase is good, powerful, strong, that's when you can really produce a lot of energy or a lot of force to go really high or jump really long. So that's a concentric phase. All right, very important for sport. Second is your isometric phase, as I said, when you're just holding a particular weight, all right, at the sticking point. Why do we do wall sits, or why do we do like these squat holds? All right, we do these squat holds is that's where the muscle contracts at its maximum potential, and the load on your muscle is the most at that point of time. So that helps you to keep the muscle really, really strong, right? And that's what helps you stay in a quarter squat position when you're playing futsal. If you see a lot of the top futsal players, they're staying low at most of the time. The knees are flexed, right? So that strength training plays a huge role. If you can watch some beach football videos as well, it's unbelievable the amount of strength that they have on their lower body, because first of all, you're running on sand, and then, they control the ball. Most of the ball, they keep the ball above the sand, right? They don't let the ball bounce, because on sand it's unpredictable. So the amount of force that's there on their body, it's huge. It's pretty crazy. The last phase is eccentric phase. So the concentric phase, as I said, allows you to jump higher, jump further, sprint faster. Now, the most important phase is the eccentric phase for recreational footballers or semi-professional footballers, especially footballers playing once a week or twice a week. For you guys, eccentric phase is the most important thing in terms of strength training. And let me be honest with you, in my 6 or 7 years of professional experience, I have not seen too many, personal trainers, or I haven't seen too many online coaches really put out content towards eccentric training, because the knowledge in that part of the field is very, very low, right? This is something that only the professionals practice. And again, a lot of professional footballers still get injured. Why? Because the eccentric training that they're doing is not enough, right? So I'm going to show you why eccentric training, when do you use in eccentric training? Remember when I did the first drill, the acceleration, I accelerated, I sprinted, and then I decelerated, right? Now, when I'm decelerating, that is eccentric force, right? So eccentric is basically, for you, when you're jumping is concentric, when you land is eccentric. Now, if your eccentric strength is not good enough, that's when the knees will cave in. Let me just show you, all right? So watch my knees. I'm jumping, I land. This is my normal landing, right? But if this happens, that means my eccentric strength in my legs is not strong enough, right? So this is when so this is when this is concentric strength, right? When I'm going up. Now, when I'm landing, right, this is eccentric strength. So if my concentric strength going up is really, really powerful, all right? So if you see people in the gym doing leg press, doing hamstring curls, doing any sort of machines as such, all that is concentric strength, right? Now, eccentric strength is a lot to do with body weight training, a lot to do with, the more, I would say, boring kind of training, but it's the most important. So just training eccentrics is very, very important. You can read up on it, and obviously go, train under, again, a licensed coach who can teach you forms of eccentric training, which will help you minimizing injuries, your injury risk, by great, like just being able to minimize your injuries on the whole. So even when you're running and decelerating, so say this is decelerating, and for you to push again. Now, if my muscles are not strong, when I decelerate, this might happen. Mm-hmm. So as Danish, you said, you got injuries this way, all right? Exactly. When this happens, what happens? The knee is just a joint over here. It's controlled by your quads, it's controlled by your hamstring, your adductors, and your IT band, right? And your calf. So if all this is giving up, your poor knee is going to give up, right? There's no way that you can really strengthen the knee. You need to strengthen the muscles around your knee. You need to train them accordingly. So keep these three things in mind. Concentric training, all right? Now, if you don't have the time, don't do concentric training. Why? Because when you're playing, when you're running, you are still working those muscles concentrically, right? So don't waste your time doing too much of concentric training. You can do a little bit of squats and, body weight stuff, but focus more on isometrics. So that's wall sits, lunge holds. Even if you're running out of time in a workout, try and focus on more isometric, where you're holding those particular movements, working on your core, and definitely do eccentric movements.
What are some drills for eccentric? Something that we can do at home without the help of
a coach? Yeah, for sure. So, I'll show you some real basic ones. The first one is a squat. So now a squat, the sitting down of a squat is called the eccentric. Coming up is called the concentric, right? So let me just see if, all right. Okay, so here I have a box, okay? So now this movement, when I'm doing it in a very controlled manner, all right? When I sit down, that's eccentric, right? Now, when I reach here, it's isometric. This is the sticking point, the worst part of a squat where there's load on my quads, right? When I stand up, it's concentric. So what you need to do is focus on the eccentrics, going down really slow, all right? Working the quad muscles eccentrically. Secondly, just doing a single leg squat, all right? So raising one leg up and from here, sitting down really, really slow, all right? Put this leg down and then stand up. And then you can go do the same thing on the other side. So that's eccentrics. Say, for example, a lunge, right? Focus on going down slow, nice, and controlled with your core, all right, from here, and then just come up normally. So if you notice the eccentrics, they will always, they're more painful. That's because
And
the
seem
muscle,
boring.
yeah, and boring because there's no pace in it.
Right.
It doesn't look good when you're jumping. It looks good when you're bicep curling. It looks good, but when you bicep curl this way,
True.
right? It's boring. It's slow.
Yeah,
So, but
that's important.
the sad thing is everything that's important is usually boring. So that's how it is even in strength training, I guess.
Yeah, looks like it. But yeah, thanks for the tips, Chelston. I mean, I'm personally going to try these out. We'll starting a few questions. We have
Sure.
Aditya who's asking us. This relates to our first question about professional players. So, what's the
Yes.
difference for an Indian player as compared to a European player in terms of fitness? Even
Okay.
though Indians also try to do the same exercises as Europeans, we don't seem to match up to their levels. I mean, is it
Yeah.
just genetics to blame? DNA?
See, okay, genetics might be one thing, but let's not blame it on genetics because, see, players go from all over the world to Europe. Players go from, from third tier countries where they don't get enough food to eat, where they come in from really poor backgrounds and they make a career and become one of the greatest, some of the greatest players that there are in the world. So let's not really blame it on genetics, but what I would say is grassroots. That's where it all starts, right? Our grassroots structure in the country, let's be honest, we're nowhere close to where, say, for example, even a third or fourth division in Europe would be, right? So even if you have to compare the leagues, the harsh truth is, our league today is probably number four and league number four, league number five in the UK. So, there's a huge difference there. There's a huge difference. And today, most of the professional players in India, they start training when they join a professional club. They start training. I'm talking about training in terms of fitness when they come into the state teams or when they come into the national setups at say under 16s and under 18s. In it's too late, right? You can't train for say 3 months and play for the national team. Ideally, you need to be prepared when you come in for the national team. So that means the junior, the clubs in India, the grassroots levels, I should say, even the schools need to take a charge up and say that okay, fitness is going to be an important part of a student's career or an athlete's career, even if say sport doesn't work. Just regular folks like a lot of people here, I'm sure have come up the ranks and who got their degrees and got good jobs, and today they're only looking to play, but they don't have that fitness background because there was no real opportunity for them when they were growing up. But this opportunity is there abroad.
Mhm.
Whether you're an athlete or not, there are opportunities that you get when you're in school. There are wide variety of gyms and academies offering these services to you. In India, sadly, we don't have that. We have today a lot of football clubs, badminton clubs, academies across different sports, but is the fitness up to the mark? Maybe not. That's the questionable part. So that's your answer right there. You can't blame the athlete as such. We have to really step up our infrastructure and grassroots level if we have to compete anywhere close to some of the bigger teams in the world.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So Abhilash's question is based on that, institutions
Yeah.
that, who have such programs. So maybe you can tell us something about your institution and how do you train? How can an
Yeah.
adult train under you and how often do you train us?
Yeah. So, see, for us, again, for me, fitness was always a passion. Sport is my life. Even though I'm a footballer, I've diversified into different fields. we train a lot of tennis players. Some of the top tennis players in the country, train with us. We train a lot of badminton players, obviously a lot of footballers across. Some of them play for the national team, and most of them play in the ISL and the I leagues. So we've really captured this athletic crowd or the sporting crowd because we have a strong base in terms of when they come in. First off, we just do assessments to see where there are imbalances in the body, to see what they can improve on. We obviously watch their past performances, and then we train them accordingly depending on how much time they have. Now, for regular folks who come in, we do want to keep it as professional as we do for athletes. So we give them a wide variety of choice. So we speak to them, we ask them, what they're interested in. Most of the folks that come in say that, okay, I want to lose my belly. I'm getting married now. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Short-term goals. But short-term goals, again, yes, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can help you, lose 10 kgs, 15 kgs, 20 kgs. But what happens after your marriage? You're going to put all that weight back, right? And then there's not going to be any motivation for you to come back and say, hey, I want to lose this again. So these things don't work. In fact, they're unhealthier than just staying at that one weight, because you're constantly dropping and increasing weight is not a good habit for you. It's too much for your body to take. So always, as a matter of fact, fitness needs to be a lifelong journey. You need to do what you enjoy doing. So a lot of people over here obviously enjoy playing football. So stick to it. Definitely play football. It's a great sport. Sport itself, teaches you so much. It gives you so much back. But you obviously need to take care of your body, and do the right things to take care of your body. So for us, what we do in the fitness center is we have a wide variety of functional fitness sessions. So if someone says that, okay, uh, you know they really like working out in a group, then that's something that we advise them to do. If someone says that, I want to lift weight, build muscle, then there's a way to lift weight. As I said, you can't just work on concentrics. Like, say for example, bicep curl is one of the most famous bodybuilding exercise. But what happens with the bicep curls, with the big guys? They walk this way. Why? Because they're only working on eccentrics. There's no concentric. So the arms are flexed this way. That's how they walk, right?
Yeah.
So that's, they can't straighten it. But again, I mean, bodybuilding is a sport, and if you're into bodybuilding, then you definitely need to do what the sport requires. But for regular folk, I would always advise them to do things rightly. So taking care of different parts of their body, ensuring that nutrition is, again, I wouldn't say stick to a strict nutrition like a professional athlete does, because that's not your profession. Your profession is to stay healthy. The profession is to enjoy yourselves on the field, go back and work, right? Or go back and study, play in your recreational time. So you should be able to eat like that. Like, you need things to make you happy. So it's all about the balance at the end of the day. And then we also have MMA, we have physiotherapy and rehab in our center. We have recovery, we have ice baths and contrast baths. So most of our athletes, after grueling sessions, go through these ice baths, and we have massage services. So yeah, it all depends on what a person requires, and we try and advise him or her to really take up this, and this is how it's going to help.
How does one get in touch with RSF?
I think, see, as of now, we closed. Unfortunately, I don't know when we're going to open next. So the best way to get in touch with us is through social media. We are on Instagram, Rapid Sport Fitness. You can get in touch with us on our page if you have any questions. If you want to inquire about our services, if something really fits the bill for you guys, then yeah, you
Awesome.
can get in touch with us at any point of time. Yeah,
We'll share RSF's Insta page on the chat group.
sure,
You can
sure.
access it and get in touch with
Yeah,
Chelston's team. One last question, Rajkumar,
yeah,
if you have the time, Chelston, can
yeah,
you
yeah,
please let me
sure,
know?
sure. Yeah, yeah,
So
no
this is
problem.
from the professional angle. So he's Rajkumar is plays for an U17 a youth league. He trains 4 days a week when with one extra designated fitness session. Is it okay to add
Okay.
another fitness session during the week? If so, which day is better to do it?
I think definitely. I mean, one fitness session is generally not enough. But again, I'm not sure which U team you play for. As a U team, they always have restrictions because you guys go to school, and there's lack of grounds or facilities available. So 4 days on the field when you're playing football is good enough. But I would say you definitely need additional fitness. But it all depends on how you can balance it. Rajkumar, maybe, if you're doing an on-field fitness session, say for your speed and endurance on that one day with your academy or with your team, the other 2 or 3 days you need to spend on your strength training. You need to spend on, your mobility training. You need to spend on your flexibility training. So it all depends on your body. It also depends on how you recover, because whatever you do in terms of strength, in terms of anything that you do in fitness, it needs to help you in your game, right? So you need to understand that, okay, this is how my body is functioning. This is how I'm playing. Now, if I'm going to do a strength session, you should have a goal that this is how it's supposed to help me. This is how it's going to help me, right? So if you want to get more explosive, if you want to jump higher, if you want to win more air balls, then there's power training that you need to do on the other days. You can do it on any day. There's no hard and fast rule that you have to do it on, Monday or Tuesday, or, on the rest day. You can do it on any day. It all depends on your body.
But should I be
So
clubbing
it's
the
something
days?
that you need to do.
But should I be
Sorry?
clubbing the days, or should I like space them apart?
Definitely, no problem. You can club the days, but obviously you don't want to do something very, very intense on a day that you're playing football, right?
Got it.
You don't want to say, for example, you don't want to do an endurance circuit training like, what I just showed you. Maybe doing 20-second of movement, 10-second break. You can do maybe say 10-15 minutes. That won't hamper your game. But if you're going to do 45 minutes or 1 hour, then that's going to slow you down when you play football. So that's something that you'll be wary about. But I would say you can definitely train every day. Just say even 20 minutes of your strength session prior, before you go into football, that could help you. If not, if you're, again, if you're not used to the load of strength training, you can finish football and then do your strength training.
Okay, this session truly has been epic. I think we're very far from getting done with fitness in football. There's,
Yeah,
you know, mental fitness, there's flexibility, there's
true.
team fitness. There's a ton to talk about. But I think this is a great start to this, journey of fitness in football. We'd love
Yeah,
to have you again for more sessions with us. I'm sure everyone loved it. If everyone, just show your support and love to for Chelston, and maybe put in an RSF on chat to let Chelston know how great the session was. We have recorded the session, which we will be putting up on YouTube. So, you can definitely share it across, but you wouldn't have got this interaction with him. So many people want to meet you, Chelston. So we'll be
yeah. I
sharing.
mean, yeah, you can share. So I'm on Instagram as well. My Instagram handle is dynamic_chell. So again, I'm always available there if you have, any questions, and if you need any support or help, I'll try my best. Um, to give you that support. You can also follow the Rapid Sport Fitness page. While you're at home, we post workouts every single day. We also post a lot of insights about, say, particular sport, which could be useful, some of which I've spoken about today. So yeah, I mean, if you can take away anything out of that as well, it will be great.
Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Chelston. It's
All
great
right.
having
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. See you all next week.
Thanks.
Bye bye.